Second lecture. So when was your first lecture?
So last Sunday.
Okay, so that was just an introduction thing. Okay, so today is your
Yes.
first lecture actually.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, so can you give me your short introduction and tell me why you're doing this and why you're inclined towards architecture, or what is your end game? What do you want to do after architecture, or why do you want to do architecture?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I like drawing, and also I like mathematics very well. My parents were telling me go to choose medical field or engineering field, but I like to do architecture, and I don't have any interest in medical and engineering. My brother is engineer, and my sister is also engineer, but I am doing architecture because I like to drawing, and so therefore I'm joined Nata class.
And what
Sorry.
makes you think just by liking drawing you would be?
No, sir. Whenever I saw those buildings, or even in the past time when I saw the forts means historical places, I get fascinated by seeing its architecture, because at that time there were no facilities or any modern things to build it. So I got a question that how can they build it, and so I have to also do that.
Okay, so
Yes,
you're more inclined towards buildings and stuff. You
yes, sir.
like
Yes, sir.
the built environment around you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, where are you based, Prathamesh?
What, sir?
Where are you based from? What's your hometown? Where do you live currently?
Hello.
Where are you based? Where do you live? Which city are you in? Is anyone else able to hear properly, or is it his side that is having some problem?
Sir, I can hear.
Yeah, Prathamesh, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Which city are you from? Where do you live?
And so Navi Mumbai. I'm from Navi Mumbai.
Okay, and what's your school?
So Ramnarayan Ruya College.
And you're doing your 12th standard now or 11th standard?
Yes, 12th standard, sir.
Can you come again? Your school's name?
Ramnarayan Ruya College
Ramnarayan.
of Arts and Science.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Can we move on? I think Shravani, you're also a new student.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you please give me your rough introduction and also answer the same things what Prathamesh answered?
Okay. Sir, actually, I love to draw, and when my parents told me that what side you wanna go after 12th standard, I started researching about that. What can I do? What is like for my choice, which I can do very effectively and I can perform well. So I researched about various different professions, and after research for about 2 to 3 months, I came to know that architecture is a profession where I can perform well and I can go forward in it. So that's why I want to give NAT.
So that is your mental point of view. Is there any emotional connection towards architecture? Do you like it from your
Not
heart
yet, sir.
or? Okay, great.
Not yet.
And what is your last name, Shravani?
Shravani Patil.
Where are you from?
I am from Navi Mumbai.
And also, can I know, are you in 11th or 12th?
Sir, I am in 11th standard.
Acha. So you would be giving NATA next to next year in 22.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your school?
Tilak Junior College, Vashi.
Okay. Thank you, Shravani. It was nice talking to you.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Can we move on to the next one, please? Kirti.
Yes, sir. Actually, I've always liked designing, like ever from probably fifth standard. I was into drawing and designing stuff, And then when I was in 10th standard, I got to know about this field, architecture. And then I was always fascinated by things like interior stuff, like how to arrange everything in a room. Or slowly I got to know about the profession where this all happens. And my brother, when he was in 11th standard, he told me about the field he was gonna choose. Then I learned from him. I'm still learning from him as he's doing his architecture, and uh, I'm getting more attached to the field. So that's why I'm doing this.
And you mentioned you like designing. What have you designed till date? Have you designed something?
No, sir, not like that, but I kind of whenever I am in a room or I helps others to like design stuff like in
Yeah,
the room or
what
something.
stuff? What stuff? I mean, I want to know what have you
Like
designed?
they have okay, like when they want to uh keep their place in a proper order, like where they have to keep their beds or where they have to keep their cupboards, where they have to keep their tables and stuff.
Okay, so it's
So
more
I
kind
help
of
them. I'm not
furniture design or interior
yeah,
design kind of thing.
yeah, that. But then
Okay.
I chose to do architecture because as I learned a bit more about these things, I was interviewed by this like the structures and all, like how you do the outer structure and then you go to the interior.
Okay, so you have a rough general idea about
Yes, sir.
architecture. Good, good, good. And can you please tell me where do you stay and what class you are in and what's your school?
Like I'm currently in a different district, but I study in Kolhapur.
Okay.
From I'm in Shanti Niketan, D.Y. Patil Shanti Niketan.
Okay, well, that's nice.
Uh, and I'm in 12th standard.
Okay. And you're originally from Kolhapur or?
No, I'm originally from Sangli.
Okay, okay, okay. So you commute every day from Sangli to Kolhapur?
No, I live in Kolhapur, but
Okay,
since
okay.
March, like
Okay,
the
so
started January.
because of the lockdown, you're here.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I think we are done with everyone but one because everyone else is from the previous batches. Who is iPhone?
Hi Viren, I'm Rashmi.
Oh,
I'm
hi,
just
Rashmi.
here to, yeah, I'm good, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good as well. Sorry, I did not know because your name was typed something else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's fine.
This is
It's
my
fine.
first time. Yeah,
It's fine. You can be in the background.
yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, chalo.
Yeah. Yes. So, guys, we'll start. And so, basically, what my format of everyday class is, I've already assigned you guys a test which you have to attempt every time before the class. Because during the time, what we do is we try to decode my test every time in all the lectures after the test. I mean, after you have attempted it, I try to make you understand it. We talk about it. If you have some doubts, then we clear them as well. So most of the time the test or the quiz is approximately 20 questions. I give 20 questions every time, and first we discuss that, and after that we move towards the book, which I don't have right now, but I have a PDF copy. So you guys have got your books, right? You guys have your notes. I think everyone has. If anyone doesn't have, you may find a copy of your notes under the study material tab in the app. If you want, you can check it now itself, so you have a copy of what I'm going to teach, or you have the whole syllabus in the study material thing itself. So go under the study material tab of the app and you'll find the book, and from that books we are going to complete our syllabus, or chapter wise we would be completing everything. Again, is someone interrupting? Okay, I thought someone is speaking. Yeah, I'll tell you one more thing. what we usually do, the notes or the book which we have is on quite a higher level again, because we almost try to prepare you on a level of JEE mains, sorry, JEE 2. But again, you try to attempt NATA, so it's easier for you to study hard and work more, work harder, and do a easier thing. That is why it is a bit tougher compared to other institutes and all. But we try to increase your knowledge to such a height that during your first year and your second year also you will benefit from the same knowledge which we are teaching in this class. So I hope you get it.
And that's how we have reached till 167 until now. The topmost score of our academy is 167. Yeah, and this year's Viren sir, 150 is the topmost score what we have got until now. We're just waiting, holding on to get the new scores also.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
please
this
continue. Yeah.
this was Sarnaik sir. He's also the curator of this course, and he runs this institute. And yes, as far as the information that he has given is, we have achieved very good scores. And I think recently it was just yesterday or day before yesterday as well, new results have come and some are still remaining to come. So yeah, we have a good score, and I expect you guys also to take the score higher. I don't want any one of you scoring less than 150 or something like that. You must always try to aim for the highest possible things you could do. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now
Yes,
I'll
sir.
share my screen and we would start the class plus thing. And every one of you has given this test, right? Everyone present in the class
Yes,
today?
sir.
Okay. So yeah, so all of you know your answers, but the scores are very poor. I don't know why, but yeah, this test was, I designed it a bit difficult because it was your first test. So yeah, the questions which you will face in your exams and all would be far easier compared to what you see here. But again, as I told you, we try to elevate your level of knowledge so much that you have to study on a bit higher level than you are expected to do. And about your scores, I don't know, the app is not opening. Okay, tell me your scores, guys. How much did you score?
Sir, I got 37. This is Ameya.
Yeah, I think Amaya, you might be the highest one. Or is there
Sir,
anyone? Yeah.
I got means it's comparatively less because for the past this month from September, I was not able to give time for means research work and all, because
Okay.
now from this week only my half yearly exams are commencing,
Okay.
and
Okay.
so that's why, sir. So it will get over in 1 week only, sir. Means this and the next half week. So I'll prepare again, sir.
Okay. Great. Great. And I think you and Rushank are from the same college, right?
Yes, sir. Me, Rushank, and Sabri also, sir. Same
Okay. So
class.
all three of you are from the same college. Great. Great. Nice.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to share their scores, or should I do them on their behalf? Okay. So the average score was 17.75, which is very less. I had expected it to be a little more. Dhyan got 23. Kirti, you got minus 15. Parth, your score is 24. Shravani, you got 8. Rushank, you got 12. I was expecting more. Chitrita, 24. Sabri, 29. Good score. Good score. Comparatively good. Not actually good. So yeah, guys, please try to elevate your knowledge level as well. But it's okay. I'll try to explain you all the questions which we have here. Also, try to remember what you answered on those specific questions, because then and only then you'll try to recall, you will be able to recall it the next time when the same question comes or something like that. Okay, so first question, designed by Dash in collaboration with Leo A. Daly. The Wilson School massing features a series of classroom bars rotated along a single hinge point with planted terraces on each roof? So the answer is Big. The Big Architects is a firm, and the principal architect of which is Bijaki Angels, and the firm is from I think it's from Holland, and they are pioneers in sustainable design, and they are also pioneers in using different kinds of shape and new structures which are quite impressive, and no one has seen such shapes before. So yeah, this is a school. It's called the Wilson School, and the speciality of this school is it's pivoted on a single hinge point. Do you guys understand what that is? I'll show you a better picture, then you would be able to understand. So yeah, this is a model of the same building that we had seen. This is the single hinge point, and the span of the structure is only this much, and it keeps rotating on a certain degree. Are you guys understanding how this building is designed? And did you understand the concept of single hinge point? So this is like a common point where it's kind of the central core would have been situated. From every floor to go to another floor, this would be the central core, and the building is moving around. Clear, everyone? Moving on, dash is a molding on cornice, bare or decorated, that follows the contour of an arch, whether on the outside face, which is the lintel, or on the intrados. Intrados is this part, this whole thing. What is it called? Guys, please keep answering. I understand it's your first session today, but try to be as interactive as you can. So the correct answer is archivolt. Next, featured on the list of 7 wonders of India and a UNESCO World Heritage Site, this temple exhibits the detailing of ancient architecture. Guess the building or guess the temple.
Konark Temple.
Konark Temple.
Konark Sun Temple.
Yes, Sun Temple, which is situated in Konark. And you guys know about the 7 wonders of India? You want me to list them down for you? Just write down whatever I dictate in between. So 7 wonders of India are, first one is Gomteshwar in Karnataka. Second is Hampi in Karnataka. Third one is Harmandir Sahib Golden Temple in Punjab. Third one is Harmandir Sahib Golden Temple in Punjab. Fourth is Khajuraho, which is situated in, I think, Madhya Pradesh. Fifth is Konark Sun Temple, which is situated in Odisha. Number 6 is Nalanda in Bihar. Can anyone guess what would be the last one? Come on, guys, it's pretty simple. Sorry?
Taj Mahal.
Yes, right. The last wonder in the list is Taj Mahal, situated in Agra, which is also one of the modern 7 wonders of the world. It's one of them as well. Moving on, number 4, a crescent shaped opening above a door or a vault is known as this thing, this whole thing. It's called as lunette. It's called as lunette. Also, I have written something over here as well. Yeah, Lunettes of Medician Villas. Try to Google this afterwards. Lunettes of Medician Villas by Gusto Utens. Can you see something written over here? Just try to Google it later. So these are nothing but paintings or decorative lunettes made by Gusto Utens, and he has made a lot of them in different structures. So it's like a series of them, all differently painted, all differently decorated. Try to find out about them later. Number 5, the lofty double-storied structure is built on a huge high platform terrace, which has a row of cells with arched openings. The central chamber is octagonal in shape and contains the tomb. Identify where the monument is located. So for such kind of questions, the first thing which I would do is I would try to identify the structure first. And by the looks of it, this looks as I think I've not mentioned it. Yeah. So this is located in Delhi, but does anyone know what building is this actually?
Humayun tomb.
Yes, this is Humayun's tomb. And who was that? Who answered it?
Sir Chitrita. He was in Mughal Empire.
Yes, he was an Mughal emperor. Good one, Chitrita. Nice thought. I mean, nice. I mean, you got it right. Next, the future towers provide a variety of units with distinctive spatial disposition and areas as per the requirements, all amalgamated to become a single massive structure. Identify the location and the architects. So this future tower is located in Pune. Also, I'll tell you, someone has reported this. Why is there something wrong with this question?
Sir, the picture was not visible.
Okay, so yeah, see, this happens sometimes. I don't know why this keeps on happening. It's nothing on my end that I can do to resolve this problem, because sometimes the picture resolution is low, or sometimes the picture resolution does not fit on your mobile phones or whatever screens you are using. So in such times, the picture just crashes or it doesn't load. Also, I was going to inform you something about decoding pictures. So if I was in your place, then I would have looked at this picture and thought, what I can see and how and where could this building be. So from the site of it, if you just look at the building, it doesn't look up. It doesn't look something which is situated in India. It looks like something which is situated in America probably. If you just look at the building, I'm not talking about the background or anything. But if you look into detail, you can see motorcycles. You can see motorcycles. So again, another thing is motorcycles are majorly used in developing countries from Asia and Africa. They are not used abroad. So this is how you kind of decode pictures. Again, if you see background on the right side, there are high-rise flats. The concept of high-rise flat buildings are nowhere to be seen in America and nowhere to be seen in Europe as well. This kind of concept only persists in Asia. I mean, I don't think this kind of concept is there in Africa as well. So whenever you guys are confused and you want to know something from the location, try to search the background, try to scoop what you can see in the minute details. Another thing which I could see in this very clearly, I can see a Swift car parked on the left hand side. So from the car also you could decode which country or which place this could be. Is it clear, guys? Another important thing which you guys have to look in pictures is sometimes there might be advertisements or there might be billboards or there might be some written text on the picture itself. Here, if you try to concentrate on this part, If you see this building from another angle, I'll show it to you from another angle. So this is situated in the township of Aminora, which is in Pune. So from other angle, I can see the word Aminora written on top of this building. Can you see it here? Can you see it in this picture on the left side? So always
Yes,
try
sir.
to find some written text, or always try to find some billboards or advertisements from which you could guess easily. Like if you see this night picture, you can, I don't know why there are no clear pictures of this building. So anyways, I think this much is enough to understand where the building is. This is located in Pune, and the architectural firm is MVRDV. MVRDV. Someone is trying to enter the building. Wait, guys. Sorry, enter the meeting. Okay. So yeah, moving on. Do you guys know about the firm name MVRDV? Anyone? Does anyone know about this firm MVRDV? So MVRDV is situated in the Netherlands, and the principal architect of this firm is Wilhelmus Vini Maas. Wilhelmus, actually his real name is Wilhelmus Maas, but he's also known as Vini Maas. W-I-N-G. W-I-N-Y, sorry, W-I-N-Y, Vini Maas. Write all this down, this is very important stuff. And he started this firm, he started this firm with Jacob van Rils. Jacob van Rils. So the spelling of Jacob is J-A-C-O-B. You would normally call it as Jacob, but these guys are Dutch, so they call it as Jacob, or it's pronounced as Jacob. And the third person, who's a female, is Nathalie de Veries. Nathalie de Veries. This firm is situated on, this firm is headquartered in Rotterdam, which is in Netherlands, and they practice in urban design as well. One more thing about this building, this was the first project of MVRDV in India, and the name MVRDV comes from the name of all three architects, that is Vini Maas, Jacob van Rijs, and Nathalie de Veres. The name combined forms MVRDV. That is the short form of all the three names. Number 7, the low-cost housing projects provides dwelling for population belonging in the lower economic group, which basic amenities which is tough for them to attain in Navi Mumbai. Who designed Sitco housing? So the correct answer is Raj Reval. He designed Sitco housing, which is situated in Navi Mumbai. Number 8, Calatrava's Oculus is unlike any other transportation hub. It invokes a feeling of wanderlust if only to see and experience the Oculus. It is located in Dash. Again, from the picture itself, if I could depict it, This thing is located in New York. This is just below the new World Trade Center complex that has been built, the World Trade Center 1. And this is a transportation hub which has all kinds of transports in it. It also facilitates metros, buses, trains, everything. It's like a central hub for all different kinds of modes of transportation. And this actually looks small, but it is actually quite a huge structure from inside. If you see, try to Google it later at your own time. Next, Half House by Alejandro Aravena was built this way because of dash. Any guesses for this one? What you guys have answered? I want to know.
To reduce the cost.
Okay, this could be one thing. Cost reduction was the aim of the project. Everything else is just things I made up. There is nothing. Wind analysis doesn't apply to such small heighted buildings or projects. Time was not the issue. The users didn't want an apartment. This was also not an issue. Can you tell me another benefit of this, or why this was planned like this? Can anyone, does anything pop into someone's head? So I'll tell you one more thing. These structures are kind of a emergency structure kind of thing. Mostly, it is a scheme, and this scheme is repeated at several other places as well in Mexico and Chile. And if you see this single unit, this whole thing is a single unit. And if someone, it's a part of a low cost housing project. Of course, this is there, but all these communities over the years, maybe they don't have much money now to buy this house, but over the time, maybe 5-6 years later, when they get good amount of money, they try to develop the other half of this house on their own. This was the main concept behind this design, that the user could design the half house on himself later when he has money. Are you able to understand what I'm saying? everyone
Yes, sir.
living everyone living inside this house would be able to design or build this as he likes. The materials he can use whatever he likes. If he's rich, he'll do a proper big construction. If he's not that rich, because again this is a low cost housing scheme, then the materials would be different. So this was the main idea behind this. And Alejandro Aravena is a Pritzker Prize winner, and he's from Chile. His design firm's name is Elementals. The firm's name is Elementals. Please write this down. And it is situated in Quinta Monroe in Iquique. The city's name is Iquique. Yes, it is pronounced like that, Iquique. Iquue. Iquue. Iquique. And the part which I said about emergency structure, this is done in case of emergency, because Chile is constantly hit by earthquakes. It's like everyday thing for them to experience an earthquake, and many people die, many buildings fall. It's like a everyday process. So people keep coming to such places after losing their homes or something like that. And another thing which is constantly disrupting the climate of Chile is tsunamis as well. So the people who are hit by tsunamis or floods, they also come and stay in such places or such buildings which are half built. Number 10, which is the world's tallest building that is primarily made from concrete? So the answer is Trump International Tower. Trump International Tower is, it also complexes Trump International Hotel as well. I think it's situated in New York. And the other buildings are not primarily made from concrete. They are all, I mean, CCTV tower could have been concrete. I don't know, but that building is very small compared to the other three. Burj Khalifa and Empire State are built out of steel entirely. Both Burj Khalifa and Empire State buildings are built out of steel frame structures. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Great. Number 11, thermal mass building materials are materials that can facilitate changes in temperature. So again, thermal mass building temperatures are something which adapt to the changing environment temperature. So when it becomes hot, these kind of retain heat and they don't let heat out. Thermal mass building materials are basically water, earth, air, and stuff like that. And all the other things are just trying to confuse you. The other options, there's nothing like growing heavier with heat or something like that. Next, the type of paint which slows down the spread of fire is called. So the answer is intumescent paint. Intumescent paint. The paint which slows down the spread of fire is called intumescent paint. The other two are also types of paint. Try to study their properties as well. Number 13, thermal barriers slow the spread of fire. So thermal barriers are put in places. Usually they are put on doors because doors are kind of an opening. If I am sitting in a room and my next room is, if it gets caught in fire, the fire would only travel to me through a door or an opening. So usually doors are made to be like thermal barriers, and there is a grading system of these doors as well. So it's like 1 hour rated door. What is a 1 hour rated door? 1 hour rated door is a door which would not burn or which would not allow fire to go from here to the next room for 1 hour. Are you getting my point? So it's like a grading system in doors as well. So 4 hour door is more thicker and the material is more complex. It is made out of more fire resistant material compared to 1 hour. And if I mean, there are some municipalities in the world, like if you go to Dubai municipality, and there are some municipalities in Europe as well. There you have to compulsorily use at least 1 hour fire rated protected doors. This concept is kind of new in India. It is not yet blooming. It's kind of coming up. It would soon in India as well. We would have doors which are at least 1 hour rated or 2 hour rated. Next, the term used to describe the horizontal elements resting on columns or a horizontal beam or lintel supported by vertical elements and contributing to the support of architectural elements. So this all is called tribation. This all is called tribation, which is also called as post and lintel. I think we had discussed post and lintel previously as well, but tribation and post and lintel is one and the same thing. You guys know what a post and lintel is, right? So the vertical element is called post and the horizontal element is called lintel. So in this picture, these columns are nothing but post is, and this band is called lintel. Similarly, in this picture, these columns are post and these bands are lintels. Is it clear to everyone? In this as well, the columns are post and this top thing is lintel. And these both together are called tribation. Moving on, the continuation of aisles of choir around the apse, sometimes giving access to smaller chapels is called ambulatory. Is the above statement true or false? So the statement is true. The picture which you can see is a uh, very basic Christian church. But I have another picture in the answer section. So yeah, you can see it here. This is a plan of a Christian church. So the middle lane is called nave and the side lanes are called aisles. And sometimes, this structure, if let me try to annotate. Yeah, so this structure is like this. I'll use another color. Yes, so this structure is somewhat like this. I don't know what is happening here. Okay, I'll just close this and start it again. So if you see, the outer boundary of this structure is like this from the outside, if you see. But here some portion has come out. This extra portion has been planned. This extra portion is called ambulatory. And I think we have a explaining or a detailed explaining in our book as well of how a Christian church is. We have a plan as well that will come to a later stage of this course. We'll discuss that. Moving on, number 16, known for his distinct eco vision, he has designed a high density space that aims at limiting the ecological footprints of his inhabitants by forging a symbiotic relationship between urban dweller and nature. So you had to guess the architect. I forgot to write guess the architect. So the architect is Vincent Calibot. The architect is Vincent Calibot. Also, if you try to Google the other options, these guys are also eminent architects from France. Vincent is based in Paris, and he actually is from Belgium, but his practice is mainly in Paris and around in France. And the style of architecture which he practices is called futurist architecture or sustainable architecture. I mean, there is two types of things he practices. One of them is futurist, and one of them is sustainable architecture. And another thing about Vincent is he won the Chicago Athenaeum. Chicago Athenaeum is a prestigious award, which is again, I think it's given by AIA, which is the American Institute of Architects, and he won it in the year 2014. I hope everyone is noting all this down. And I just read it in the morning. Another eminent Indian architect who won the Chicago Athenaeum this year is architect Sanjay Puri. I think he got the award yesterday. I just read it in the morning. Another thing in this question, can you guys understand what does the word symbiotic mean? Anyone symbiotic meaning?
So beneficial for both the.
Sorry.
Sir, symbiotic relationship
Okay,
means
can you speak a bit louder? I'm not able to hear you properly.
beneficial for both the nature as well as the people.
No. Symbiotic is not a synonym for the beneficial. Any Spider-Man fans in the house? Have you seen the Spider-Man movies? There we have an alien, which is kind of a
Yes, sir.
symbiote. Yes. So from that same thing, symbiote is something which lives on others for its growth. So here he has symbiotic relation between the urban dweller and nature. It's like he means to say that we as humans are trying to clinch or trying to steal life from nature, and we are kind of being a parasitic thing on nature. Are you understanding the thing? Symbiotic. Symbiotic is something which cannot live or sustain on its own. It has to constantly buy or in actual terms, you just suck life out of someone else. So that is the meaning of symbiotic. Moving on, number 17, dash is a slow setting lime and marble plaster that can be molded and carved for decorating interiors. So the answer is stucco. Stucco is a kind of plaster, and it is also used as a decorative kind of thing, and it is also used as a normal kind of thing as well. I'll show you. But recently, what these guys are doing is they are also making stucco plaster on walls as well, but which is kind of plain. It's not decorative. Are you guys able to see pictures? So these are different types of stucco plasters which are happening. And I'll tell you one more thing. There is a new kind of which is like very recent thing. Um, so yeah, originally all these kind of structures are made, or these kind of figures are made out of stucco plaster, and it is usually found in places of Europe like Italy and all. But there is a new development which something which looks like this. It is kind of colored, and it also has kind of a textury feel to it. This is another kind of plaster which is Venetian plaster. Venetian plaster, from the name itself, it came from Venice. Stucco Veneziano means stucco plaster from Venice. So this is a colored thing. It also has kind of a textury feel towards it, and sometimes they also use different ornamentations to enhance the beauty of this. And from the other things, I think Skoll is nothing, and plaster of Paris is just it's also popularly known as POP, which is a material we use for designing ceilings, and it is also a kind of plaster. And gypsum is similar to what plaster of Paris is. Actually, gypsum and plaster of Paris is one and the same thing. Moving on, future of architecture lies in it being ecologically sensitive. There is a small typing mistake. Future of architecture lies in it being ecologically sensitive, wherein it incorporates water, waste, energy, biodiversity, food, and resources to build with. Who said the above words? So the answer is Chitra Vishwanathan. Try to Google other female architects from India as well. Anupama Kondo is also a female architect. Brinda Somaya is also a female architect from India. Option C, Vaishali Bhist, there is no one. I just made it out and put it. Number 19, building art is a synthesis of life in materialized form. We should try to bring in under the same hat, not a splintered way of thinking, but all in a harmony together. Who said the above words? So these words were said by Alvar Aalto. Alvar Aalto is also a Pritzker Prize winner. So for the new ones, you guys don't know what a Pritzker Prize is. Pritzker Prize is one of the most prestigious prize or awards or recognitions given in the field of architecture, which is also called as the Nobel Prize of Architecture. I mean, it is also famously called. It is not actually called. It is just famously called. Number 12, Westlake store from features a glass stair and an elegant cantilever floor, which extends 12 meters from the rear wall like a diving board, tapering to 1.2 meters to just 10 centimeters. Who designed this? So this question is about this staircase, which starts on the end of the store and it is constantly in a slight angle or a tapered angle to the start of the store. This is an Apple store, and this was designed by Foster and Partners. Foster and Partners is a firm based in London. The chief architect is Norman Foster, who is also an Pritzker laureate or a Pritzker Prize winner. Uh, if you try to find out the other options as well, try to please Google about them. Peter Marino is an Italian architect, famously known for. Peter Marino is also known very famously for designing elite showrooms or elite designer wear clothing showrooms, all in France and Italy. His major work is luxurious design, luxury kind of design he does. I'll just do a quick Google search. So yeah, this is a very weird guy. If you see, if you try to see his dressing sense, I always find him very weird. He dresses like this always. Yes, this guy is actually an architect. He's not an actor or something else. He's not a bodybuilder or something like that. But this guy is an architect who is very famous and very well familiar for designing Louis Vuitton and yeah, Louis Vuitton is one of the famous brands which he designs for. I think Dior as well. So these are some of his works. Can you guys see the complexity of his work? My internet is a bit slow, so these images are taking a bit longer to load. Yes, guys, but try to Google it on your own and try to find works of Peter Marino as well. So all this comes under luxury kind of design, luxury interiors. All luxury interiors are done by Peter Marino. I think apart from Louis Vuitton, he does some more brands, but uh, he is very famous among clothing brands. So all the clothing brands call this guy for doing their interiors or their store interiors to be precise. Yeah, just see this image. Uh, Josh Berlin is no one. He's a director. I don't know who this guy is. Try to Google this guy as well. Yes, so we are done discussing the test. I think I've covered everything. If you guys still have a doubt, please ask away. Also, a fun fact about New York. New York is called the second financial capital of the world. It's like the second richest city in the world. You guys know which is the first one? Anyone?
Dubai,
Louder?
UAE or Dubai.
No, 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 no. They are not even in the top 10. I'm not talking about countries, I'm talking about cities.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Also, this question which you guys have raised, you could not see the picture currently. I am giving everyone a grace mark for this one. So every one of you will get a grace mark for this question. Also, yes, this was MVRDV's first Indian project which I have written in the solution as well. Also, I've tried to, I was trying to tell you about J plus W. Do you guys know J plus W?
No.
Good. So J plus W is the best structural designers from India.
Okay, sir.
They are based in Pune, and J plus W is one of the, I mean, they are the best structural designers based in India. I am trying to find the full form, which I forgot. Just give me 1 second. I'll tell you guys about this later because I'm not able to do a Google search as well. They are not listed anywhere, or I think their firm's name is something else, or they have changed recently. So I'll inform about this later. Okay, so we are done with the test. All your marks will change now. If you had a problem of not seeing that picture, you'll probably get a +4 mark now. Okay, I think some of you have recently joined. I don't know why you joined late, but let's do an introduction of the new guys as well who joined late. So, can we start with Seva? Seva, are you able to hear me? Seva, can you hear me? Okay, she's not responding. I think there's poor connection at her end. Ashwita Gaikwad, can you speak? Ashwita Gaikwad. Guys, am I audible or is it just them?
Sir, you are.
Audible.
Okay, so why are these guys not speaking? Pratik, can you speak? Can you guys speak something, please? Okay, I think they are having some connectivity issues at their end. It's okay, you speak next time. Yeah, so we'll start with the study material thing now. We'll start with the book now. Just give me 1 second to find it and I'll start sharing my screen again. Is my screen visible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Good. So guys, come to page number, wait, let me just scroll through it. Come to page number 8 of your book, please. Open page number 8. Is everyone on page number 8? So yes, so this is the first chapter in our book, which is called Introduction to Architecture. It's just a general sense of what architecture is and how architecture came into our life, right from prehistoric things to the modern things. Everything is kind of briefed up in a very small and precise note, and it is explained in this chapter. I'll just try, it's a readout chapter. I'll just read it out once and I'll explain it to you guys. If you guys have any doubts in between, please interrupt me, or you can just ask me in between anything you like. Also, for the first thing, can any one of you try to define architecture? Just don't try to define it from the book. Try to define it on in your own words. Can anyone try? Of course, the old guys know what architecture is. We had a discussion about this in the previous class as well. I want the new guys to try something. Kirti, would you give a try? Shravani, Prathamesh.
Sir, architecture is incorporating different shapes in a given space.
Incorporating different shapes in a given space. Okay, that's good. That's good. Anything else?
So, architecture is the style of design and method of construction of buildings and other physical structures.
Buildings and other. What are other physical structures?
So, physical structures, I mean to say, any statue or kind of structure which can be built.
Okay, and if there's no structure to build, then what do you think about it? If I ask you to design a public park where no structure would be built, how do you would you consider that as a part of architecture or no?
Uh,
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Yes, what's your guy, Prathamesh? What's your name? Prathamesh, would you give a try?
Yes, I think it's a art to develop something creative and which is usable for society.
Art which is creative and what?
So art which we can from which we can make creative things which is usable
Okay,
for society.
not necessary creative and not necessary usable for the society as well. Sometimes we build something that is very bland. It cannot be called creative. Again, the definition of society changes, or I think what you're trying to say is for the user. So, guys, I'll give you one very simple definition of architecture, which was defined by Vitruvius. It is utility, firmness, and design. Only three words: utility, firmness, and design. So, utility means whatever the requirement is, you have to uh, you have to make sure that that need has been overcome by what you design. This thing is called utility. Firmness is nothing but strength. Whatever you make, it should have strength or it should be stable. It should not fall off or something like that. And the last thing is delight. So delight is something which makes us architects different from civil engineers or another other types of engineers. Delight is something which is like delight is something which is the wow factor of the building. If you look at these pictures, all these pictures are very delightful, or you can say breathtaking, or you can say wonderful or beautiful again. So this beautification factor comes from the word delight. So this is the most simplest kind of definition of architecture: utility, firmness, and delight. And one basic things, guys, don't try to stress much on your brains. Try to take things, try to look at things from a simple perspective as well sometimes. Okay, so in the book, it has been written, architecture can also be defined as ever-changing phenomenon of cultural change and exchange and human aspirations. The beginning of architecture can be traced back to the days of cavemen. Prehistoric architecture can be tracked back to the early man living in caves and tents. So, of course, when man got evolved from apes or something like that, we all used to find dwellings in caves or natural structures. We used to find dwellings under the trees, maybe under some ridges, maybe under some stones, maybe inside a cave. But usually, what happened, the demand of man started to increase, the population of man started to increase. So that is why he had to develop sciences of construction, which is in normal terms we called it as architecture. So that is why man developed architecture, and he wanted to live a better life. See, we as humans always want to do something better. We are all never satisfied with anything which we have. If you have a phone today, tomorrow you would want to buy uh, the one which has more features. If you have a good car today, tomorrow you would have want to buy a race car tomorrow. So similarly, architecture also developed. Today someone is living in a cave, but he wants luxury, he wants to live in a hut. Then hut is when hut becomes mainstream, then again that guy would want to live in a uh, that guy would want to live in maybe a built form structure. Then he would like to move to a house, then he would move to a flat, then he would move to a bungalow or something like that. So there is always a constant development of humans, and because of this development, again, architecture also developed as we humans develop. So prehistoric architecture examples are then moving around houses and wall dwellings and even building stone mountains. So yeah, you can see some prehistoric architecture here, how stone was a very important feature, because stone was abundantly available in nature, and everyone it was I mean stone can be found everywhere. It is the most abundant material which was available to prehistoric men, and they kind of built houses or dwellings. These are not housing, this would be a dwelling is which is something which is not permanent, is kind of a dwelling. So these dwellings were made out of stone. And again, in the previous things we saw, prehistoric architecture always also was in the forms of caves and naturally formed stones or coverings as well. Then came ancient architecture. So there are different types of ancient architecture which came from different eras or different time periods in our human history. So I think the most ancient one is the ancient architecture from ancient Egypt, the architecture from ancient Egypt. So ancient Egyptians are famous for building the pyramids. The pyramids were built as a burial place for the Egyptian kings. There are still over 80 pyramids in Egypt today. There are more than 3,000 years old that are okay. They are more than 3,000 years old, The architects of these pyramids were very skilled in mathematics, in technical drawing, and knowledge of position of sun and stars. The pyramids were carefully designed to be in a straight line with, for example, a certain star constellation at a certain time of a year or sunrise on a particular day. The Egyptians also built magnificent temples and statues. So basically, Egyptian architecture is quite famous for burial places. You can see on the right, uh, there are some pyramids, and these lower structures are called mastabas. Mastabas are also burial places. So there were three kinds of burial places in Egypt: common graves for people like us, and mastabas for someone who could afford to build a mastaba for maybe high class people. And there was the elite class, the kings and the rulers or everything, the emperors and everything. They were so rich that they could build an entire pyramid for themselves, whereas the common people did not have such amount of money. That is why only the super elite class or the rulers or the kings, only they had the privilege of dying inside or being placed inside a pyramid after their death. And another important aspects of Egyptian architecture is these kind of statues and sphinx. You guys know sphinx, right? Again, an important aspect of Egyptian architecture is these structures were always aligned with certain star constellations, maybe, or certain positions of the sun or the moon. There used to be always geometrically aligned with something from the nature. Nature was heavily nature influenced very heavily the architecture in Egypt. They used to do everything according to a particular set of directions and use and rules. Moving on, we have architecture from ancient Greek. Greek architecture is a very specific and influential type of design which was based off the post and lintel system. So again, here in the images, you can see the post and the lintel system being used extensively everywhere. The post and lintel system is made up of columns which are large upright posts with a roof or architrave over the top. This type of architecture began with Greeks but has persisted throughout the ages to live on today. Even though it may seem simple, the Greeks created a wonderful and lasting legacy of architecture. The columns and architraves were carved with leaves and flowers, scenes of battles and mythological creatures. The columns were decorated with lines, bases, and capitals, which topped off the columns and connected them to the architrave. So again, this also started in a very basic and a humble way. On the right, you can see this is a very basic kind of building. But later on, they started to put human figures instead of columns. They sort of developed themselves, or they developed the art of architecture so much that there was so much of decoration and there was so much of ornamentation. Moving on, architecture from Rome. Early Roman architecture borrowed heavily from Greek architecture. However, the Romans quickly adapted their own styles and were soon inspiring the architecture of many other countries. One of the most important additions that Romans brought to the architecture is arch. So, arch was actually invented by the Romans. Before this, in Greek or in Egyptian civilizations, arch was not used. They kind of used a flat opening kind of thing, but arch is usually something which has a semicircular or a circular kind of top. Another famous example of Roman architecture is the aqueducts. So these aqueducts are nothing but water carrying bridges. Water used to travel from inside of these structures. This top is uh, uh, the top is kind of a guttery thing, and inside the gutter fresh water goes, and there is multiple layers of drainage system as well. So in the bottom layer there would be sewage water or there would be bad water, and in the top layer it's like always fresh water used to go on the top and the bad water on the bottom. Any can anyone tell me what would be a reason for doing this? Very logical and very simple reason for doing this. Fresh water on top and bad water on the lower layers. Parth? Any input from you?
Clean water from germs.
Sorry?
Prevent the clean water from germs produced in that bag.
No. It's not about germs. It's a very simple kind of logic. See, if you this is the top layer, this is the second layer, this is the third layer. If there is a leakage here and there is wastewater or drainage water on this, fresh water will get contaminated if it is in the bottom layer. Very simple and very logical kind of thing. Fresh water always on the top layer, because even if there is a leakage, it would just go inside the drain. But if the drain is above and there is a leakage, it would contaminate the fresh water. Clear, guys? One more very logical thing in aqueducts is, can anyone guess why they used to build such, I mean, on such high levels? You can use the section here as well and guess why such height. Or they could have just, got it from the ground as well. They could have put pipes on the ground. Why did they build such a huge structure just to carry water? Anyone?
So it will be easy for them to transport water from a height to the lower part of the city.
Actually, it is partially correct, but not exactly correct. Can you try to stress out a bit more on your brain and try to squeeze out the reason?
They are using the gravity.
Yeah,
It's
gravity
like
is one thing, but I'll tell you what is the actual reason. The actual reason for putting this on such height is because the earlier days, of course, all the water used to travel from gravity. They had to maintain one single level. So if a mountain is coming in between, they had to dig through it. They cannot change the level, because if they change the level, or if this pipe becomes, instead of going straight, if this pipe is like this, there is no electricity to push water up, or there is no electricity to push water down or suck water somewhere. So all of this was in a straight line always, to maintain one single level. And I'll tell you one very important factor, guys. This same principle is being applied even today. If you go along highways anytime, and if you, I think there is a lot many open pipes when you enter Mumbai from Pune. You can see lot many open pipes as well. After the Vashi toll naka, you can see many pipes and all on the left side, and these pipes are going up and down because of the contour of the road. So again, a single level is being maintained in these pipes, so that water flows, or the level of the water remains the same. It doesn't change. Clear, everyone? So it's like these pipes also travel for hundreds or thousands of kilometers, but the level of all of the pipe is same. Let's suppose I'm putting a pipe from Mumbai to Pune, and the height of the pipe is plus 3 meters from the sea level starting at Mumbai. Then I would want the pipe to reach Mumbai at the same height. I wouldn't want the pipe to go down, or I wouldn't want the pipe to go up as well. Is it clear? This is very basic. Moving on, using concrete bricks and the concept of arch, Rome was able to provide many of its citizens with water. Aqueducts, water bridges were built throughout the Rome. Their arch structures bringing waters to area far away from natural water supplies. The arch quickly led to the dome ceilings used in many houses and buildings, because arched and dome structures can share weight evenly. The concept was soon being used throughout the city and around the world. So I think this is a slight technical part which is being covered in your further chapters as well. So I won't concentrate much on this. But for homework, I would like you to find out something. On the left side picture, you can see a dome which is being rested on a circular plan. So when the discovery of dome was done, they used to rest a circular thing on a circular shape kind of a plan. There was a good invention, and I want you to find out who invented this. For the next time whenever meet, please try to research about this style of architecture. Try to find out in which style of architecture the plan or the base of the dome is square and the top is circular. You guys get my question?
Can you please repeat?
See, in this picture you can see a circular dome which is resting on a circular kind of plan as well. Are you getting are you getting what I'm trying to explain?
Sir, was it Byzantine architecture?
Yes, actually, yes, the correct answer is Byzantine. And I
Yeah,
think Amaya, if you knew the answer, you shouldn't have told the answer so early. You know, you would have let others find it on their own as well. Yes, so the answer is Byzantine, but still, if you have understood what I was trying to say, try to Google about it, try to gather some information about it. So Byzantine architects were the first to use a square plan on, and atop of that was a circular dome. Moving on, architecture from Gothic era, which is usually Gothic castles because that is the only thing which is still standing from Gothic era. Early medieval architecture was a continuation from Roman architecture relying on the rounded arch and barrel walls. During early Middle Ages, everything was built with the idea of protection in mind. Castles then weren't simply giant stone structures sitting out in the open waiting for someone to come along, knock on the door and walk in. Rather, they were like buildings within high walls and contained what was very much like a small village inside the walls. So again, you guys have seen GOT, Game of Thrones. You know what a concept of a castle is. Castle is something which is kind of a small city inside high walled or highly protected area is called a castle. It's not only for the royal family; it is for the whole town. These walls inside this, the whole town lives, or a very small city lives. So in the early Middle Ages, these early Middle Ages were also called the Dark Times. Do you know why it was called Dark Time? Dark Times because there used to be many dacoits, there used to be many robbers, and people were not that good. They used to kill each other and loot each other, and that is how they got rich and everything. I mean, there was a lot of thievery, there was a lot of a lot of robbery happening. That is why it was called the Dark Ages as well. And people used to get killed very instantly or very easily. There were so many diseases as well. So castles are usually made from the point of view of protection. You want to get protected from all the dacoits, you want to get protected from the robbers and everything. That is why a structure which has high walls is built. It is kind of a protecting structure. Guys, you'll have to excuse me for a second. I have to attend someone. Please excuse me for just 1 minute. Yeah, sorry guys, I had to go for a quick jiffy. Yeah, so you guys understand the concept of castles and why they used to be like this. Next is Gothic churches and cathedrals. This is another eminent feature of Gothic architecture, which is still persistent. And again, from Gothic is like the base or the start of this era. It it then it got divided, or then it got then it got made into some different eras as well, which we'll study along the way in this book as well. After that came Japanese architecture. Japanese architecture has traditionally been typified by wooden structures elevated slightly off the ground with tiled or thatched roof. Sliding doors, which is called as fusima in the local dialect, were used in place of walls, allowing the internal configuration of space to be customized for different occasions. People usually sat on cushions or otherwise on the floor. Traditionally, chairs and high tables were not widely used until the 20th century. Since the 19th century, however, Japan has incorporated much of Western modern and postmodern architecture into the construction and design, and it is today a leading in cutting edge architectural design and technology. So if you see Japan, they have always been a very traditional kind of country, always following their tradition, always following their culture, and trying to be a superior cultured country. Uh, but if you study typical Japanese houses, they have something called fusima. Fusima are sliding doors which are made out of paperish or cloth kind of material. So this cloth kind of material, they use this because they want to minimize the internal space. So if a wall behind me, you can see a wall. This wall is thick. This wall is approximately 10 inches thick. So instead of putting that wall, if I put just a paper cloth or a cloth kind of thing, I get to use more space. That is the reason behind using such thin walls or sliding walls. Again, this wall is kind of permanent, but if you try to build a cloth wall, you can just always tear it off, or you can just remove it and place it somewhere else. So this is the main concept behind planning in Japan. Another thing in Japan is if you try to see the interiors and all, they are very kind of modest and very kind of simple kind of people. They don't use chairs, they don't use tables and all. Nowadays they have started using, but again, if you go inside a Japanese house, it's like very less furniture. Only um, they'll only try to use what is necessary instead of buying bulk furniture, or they don't have anything which is extra. It's kind of their mentality which is reflected in architecture as well. Their mentality is kind of reflected in architecture. Moving on, architecture from China. Ancient architectural miracles are innumerable, ranging from the Great Wall, White Horse Temple, Magao Caves to Summer Palace. And the Forbidden City. Ancient Chinese architecture is mainly timber work. Wooden posts, beams, lintels, and joists make up the framework of a house. So again, China was kind of influenced, or they had similar interest with that of the Japanese, and they have similar kind of architecture in like Japan, same way. Next is Indian architecture. Indian architecture is as old as the history of civilization. Yeah, Indians, or if you see the birthplace of humankind is in Syria, but there are some epilogues, or there are some scriptures which say the birthplace of civilization is also from India. This is again a different debate. I don't want to go into that, but yeah, Indian architecture is also very old. The earliest remains of recognizable building activity in India date back to the Indus Valley civilization. So the oldest thing we have is the Indus Valley civilization. Among that is the city of I think Mohenjo-daro is far older compared to Harappa, but yeah, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro are two cities from the Indus Valley civilization that have remains of the ancient civilization that was there. Then it got devastated for some unknown reasons. Among India's ancient architecture remains the most characteristics are temples, chaityas, viharas, stupas, and other religious structures. So again, if you see, I think everywhere in the world where you go, religious structures are well preserved because they have some sort of integrity amongst other structures. Mostly other structures like normal houses or any other structures are not preserved. But if you see churches, if you see temples, if you see stupas and all these things are well preserved everywhere in the world. And a similar kind of thing can be seen in India as well. Of course, there are some things like this. This thing is called the Rani Ka Vav. It's a stepped well. Of course, there are some different things which is unique to every country or something like that. Also about the architecture in India, architecture is in India is also very diverse compared to other countries. Like if you see China, there might be one or two styles which have come up from China. If you go Japan, there might be one or two styles. If you go to Africa again, so it's like every country has maybe one or maybe two, maybe three maximum styles of architecture. But if you try to, I mean, if you try to study India, everything is different. There are states, even in Maharashtra, there are 5 or 6 different styles of architecture. So it's like we have a new architectural style or a new characteristics of architecture that could be incorporated. I feel that the radius of the distance is approximately 200 kilometers. Every 200 kilometers, you will find a new style in India. Have you guys noticed this? Anyone? Okay, moving on. Architecture, modern design. So this is the newest phase in architecture that is called the modern architecture. Combination of early and modern architecture took place as years went by. People started incorporating the ancient architecture with modern architecture to create eye-catching buildings. As a result, architecture became a mixture of past and present. In different high-profile structures, earlier and modern structures were well blended. Any building today, regardless of whether it's a commercial building, temple, or a palace, you will observe that ancient architecture. You'll observe that ancient architecture is in it. So yeah, how modern architecture was born is another thing. Like I tried to explain you how man is always unsatisfied and we always want to do something better than what we have. So yeah, similar kind of design was created. Then this features of a new design was being incorporated or was being mixed with the old ones. So after this mixture kind of went on increasing, the quality of design started to improve from ancient to modern. It happened over the years. It was not something which happens in a night. All this happened in maybe in hundreds of years, and we are still progressing towards a more modern kind of architecture which is being progressed every day, which is being developed every day. Maybe down the line 10-15 years you would have some new kind of structures that you wouldn't have even thought of. So the Wainwright building, the first skyscraper that was built in Chestnut Street, which is situated in St. Louis, Missouri, in USA, it was 10 stories high and built between 1890 and 1891. The group included architects Denmark Adler and Louis Sullivan. Louis Sullivan is called the father of modernism. Please write this down. Modernism is a era of architecture. I'll try to explain or I'll try to teach as we progress in the course. Here on the bottom left, we can see the tallest skyscraper today is Burj Khalifa in Dubai, which is 2,717 feet tall. Burj Khalifa was designed by Adrian Smith of Skidmore, Owings and Merrill. So Skidmore, Owings and Merrill is again a very good architectural firm. It is one of the top rated firms which we have currently. And one more significant thing about SOM is it is one of the biggest architectural firms as well by number. I think the most number of employees in any architectural firm is in is in Som as well. Moving on, then we have a small pictorial representation of tall structures around the world. You can see and study this later as well. So this thing, which is called the Lincoln Cathedral, located in Lincoln, England, which was built in 1092 AD, was the world's tallest building until 16th century. So this thing was the tallest building of the world for approximately 600 years. Can you guys imagine? And now it was just 83 meters high, and today we are moving towards something which is 1200 meters high or something like that. Guys, just 1 second, sorry. And you can study the structures in between. You can see how gradually the height of tall structures started to go up and up and up. And today, I think the highest structure which is still standing today is 828 meters, that is Burj Khalifa. All these four are still under construction, or maybe they are just planned. The thing about tall structures is it is very expensive to build them. That is why I'm not sure if any of these four would ever get built as well. I mean, they started to build the Kingdom Tower, which is located in Jeddah, but again, the construction has stopped since 2-3 years. I don't know why. Latest updates of 2018. So again, if you give NATA, if you attempt NATA, you have to keep in mind they would always try to ask you some questions based on recent architectural news. So this statue was developed in 2018. I would request you guys to study more about recent news which has happened in the last 2 years, or maybe last 2 to 5 years, including the current year as well. So try to find out recent history in architecture that is happening, and I think this could be your homework. So I'd also assign you guys homeworks as well. So try to find out recent architectural significant news, not only in India but around the world. Maybe you could do it country wise, maybe you could do it only in India. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. It is for your homework. Try to find out recent architectural developments on a very large scale, and also a very significant level in the past 5 years. This is your homework, guys. Also, to present your homework, it's like we follow a policy of share and learn. It's like if Amaya has researched on something, he'll share his research with Parth, and Parth would do the same to Amaya. And in a minimum period of time, both of them would get double knowledge if they share. So similarly, we are how many people? We are 10 people approximately. So I want all of you to make proper presentations and put it in the group, in the WhatsApp group when you finish. You have to do this before my next lecture, okay? So in the next lecture, I would also be checking your homeworks as well. Is everyone clear? Is everyone clear, guys? You guys understood what the homework is?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Guys, please keep on replying. I don't like talking blandly. I want your interruptions. I want your replies. I want your queries as well, okay? Please do that. So I'll just read this out. I think this is the last part of the chapter, yeah? The Statue of Unity is a statue of Indian statesman and founding father Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So this 1875 to 1950 is the birth year and the death year of Sardar Colony, approximately 100 kilometers southeast of the city Vadodara. The monument and its surroundings occupy more than 2 hectares and are surrounded by 12 kilometers of an artificial lake. It was built by Larsen and Toubro. Larsen and Toubro is an Indian company which deals on a very large infrastructure projects as well. Who received the contract for 2989 CR for the design, construction, and maintenance in October 2014. The construction was started in 31st October 2014 and completed mid-November 2018. It was designed by Indian sculptor Ram V. Sutar and was dedicated by the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 31st October 2018, which was the 143rd anniversary of Sardar Patel. So this is just a small information. Try to maybe go on YouTube and find a documentary which explains everything about this structure. Also, in a very recent news that just happened maybe 2-3 days ago, we are building a new parliament building for India. You guys know about this?
Yes, sir.
So what was the most recent news about it? Anyone? Rushank, why are you very quiet today? Why are you not speaking?
Sir, actually, I have cold, so I'm sneezing from the morning.
It's okay. It's okay. Just take care of your health. It's fine.
Yes.
So yeah, the most recent news is this is kind of a contract thing. So for every small to big project, the government gives out contracts or they give out kind of a tender. So tender is nothing but they will just list out and they would provide plans, or maybe you have to develop plans, and they'll ask you to make this for them. And every architect comes and bid for it. It's like I'll come, some other guy will come, some other guy will come. So this process is like everyone, it is a very transparent process, although the results are not transparent all the time. It is a very transparent process. Everyone bids. Let's suppose L&T got this project for 3000 CR. I would have bidded it for 2700 CR, so I would have got the project. Are you guys understanding the process? Do you know the process of tendering? It's like whoever places the lowest bid, they get the order to build it. I think there is some ruckus around here. Sorry for that. So the building which is being built, which is the new Parliament building, Tata Constructions won the bid for building the Parliament building just 2 or 3 days ago for 891 CR. And Larsen and Toubro was the second bid. I think it was 895 CR. So they just placed a bid which was only 3 CRs less and they won the bid. And I think they are going to start building the new Parliament building as well soon. Okay, that's it for today. Try to elevate your architectural knowledge and try to find out new stuff that is being happening around us or around the world or on India level or on a global level. It's up to you. So I think that's it for today. Let's call it a day. You guys know what your homework is. You have to find out recent architectural significant developments and uses in the past 5 years, starting from today. I mean, dating back from today, not starting from today, dating back from today. And the next lecture is going to be taken by Vikrant sir, I guess. Yes, Vikrant sir will be taking your next lecture, and that would be all, guys. If you guys have any questions regarding today's lecture, or you guys have any queries from today?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, guys. That's it then. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining in today. Thank you for coming. Have a good day, guys. Let's call it a day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good day.